This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, you're listening to Conversation with Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Got a big show tonight, and before we get into our show with my buddy Rusty Rust and Troy Williams, and to talk about Troy's book, the title is "Am I Enough?" Book based on his missionary journeys to Turkey, and a book about faith. But we want to pay a tribute to a local leader, Rhonda Allen. And before we go into Mark, Roger, you serve with Rhonda on the historical board, correct?
Yeah, Historical Zoning Commission. Yeah, actually, when Carolyn Peebles was there when she passed away a couple of years ago, and then of course, Rhonda, which is my hero, I would always sit with her, right beside her, and she actually appointed me as vice chair a couple of terms ago, and then she reappointed me, renominated me, and I got it, but her old position, and but she was there at the last meeting. She's there.
So you've had two people pass away within a year and
but Rhonda's
3 or 4 months.
Yeah, Rhonda's
on that one board.
Yeah, Rhonda's a tough one, though, man. That's a tough one. I really liked her. I mean, she was really special, man. I know that hurts, that one there.
Felicia and I have been praying for when we drive by, and praying for Elaine Morris across the street. Pray for Patsy Robinson across the street, Danny Brewer's mother-in-law who lost her husband 2 or 3 months ago, and then my friend Earl Wilson lives on Bain. He used to take me to church. His wife passed last year. But
and Mike, I drove down the other day. I heard the ambulance fire trucks, and I was going that way, and I went right by it, and that was at her house.
Yeah.
And man, I go, Yeah. So anyway, that was how ironic is that?
Well, it just goes to show that we talk about with Men of Hope and Mark Lewis's her brother-in-law, and we've been praying for her
every meeting
in the meeting.
We always
you just never know when it's your last day.
Yeah.
Mark, sorry so much for y'all's loss, man.
Well, we appreciate that, man. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in the driveway at Mike's house right now, and me and my wife's been over at Mike all afternoon. So
I'm sorry.
Well, it's just a lot to absorb. It's a lot to absorb, It's one thing to know that somebody's sick and they're not going to make it very long, and then when it happens, it's like, holy cow, we wasn't expecting it to happen today.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing. We got a call Friday afternoon from Mike and what was going on, and she had fallen and she was gone. Just like that. So, but there's something to praise God about. She was going. She went to Beth and my wife, which is her sister-in-law. They went to Hobby Lobby on Wednesday and went to the chiropractor, and she was out. It was laboring to breathe and everything, but she was still out going. And she went to the company luncheon for Mike Allen's Air Care. She went there for on Thursday, and she got on Friday. So she lived up to the time she died, which is what she wanted to do, and it's an awesome thing that God allowed her. That was a blessing that God gave her. That she wasn't bedridden and walked into something like that for long periods of time, because that would have killed her probably worse than the disease would have. She liked to go do and be a part, and probably the biggest thing that I would say that I would attribute her with is that she loves others well.
Yeah.
That's one thing you say about her. She made you feel loved when you were around her. That's not too many people have that where they can do that. So that's one thing you say about Rhonda Allen. She loved others well, and she served others well too. Just like Roger said, man. She worked and tried to make this world, Smyrna, whatever part of it she had an influence on. She tried to make it better, and that's you can't say that. It didn't last day you hear somebody says something good about you. that's something good to say about somebody right there, you know, and everybody knows it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even up to the last minute, Mark. At last meeting, she was swapping her oxygen tank in the middle of the meeting. I mean,
Oh yeah.
she was, but, you know, I learned so much from her. And she'd always ask the tough questions. I was kind of green, and I really learned a lot from her because she wasn't afraid to ask those questions, you know. So, so it kind of, me sitting beside her, I kind of could talk to her a little bit, and that kind of it taught me.
Yeah.
So I really did, you know, appreciate her.
Sister-in-law, man. She'd ask you some real tough questions sitting around the dinner table, dude.
I bet. Yeah.
She lights you up, boys. And like, whoa, I didn't think about it that way. But you know, that's why I love her, and you know, and I think that was the one thing that, personally, as I can say, she loved me. There was no blood kin between she and I. We both married into this family, and that's the one thing that we always kind of joked about. It was me and her. We had to deal with Alan, you know, so that was us, you know, and that was always our bind, you know, and she loved me unconditionally, and I loved her the same way, you know. So it's just a hard loss, guys. That's all I can say. You know, it's just hard.
Yeah. You know, Mark.
When you love somebody and they love you, it's just hard. It's hard to say goodbye for a temporary time because it is just temporal. Because we'll all get together in heaven again.
Amen.
It'll be a big blowout, and that's the hope we have in Jesus Christ, and that's the thing that we have to. That's what we can hold on to, because that's what Jesus promised us. So I'm going to hang on to that promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, as you know, I lost my sister last year, and, you know, you made a good point. I mean, one thing that folks, you don't want to go to a nursing home. My late father always said, he said, I'm never going to go to a nursing home.
You do not want to go to nursing home.
And I think his mind forced him out, but I watched her suffer. I watched lack of care, lack of nurses with my own mom for a year. And, man, it's just, my sister, she would say, you know, I told you she was singing that song, Country Road, Take Me Home, the place I belong, but she didn't know my name. But yeah, at least she passed at home in peace. And, you know, because I'm telling you, man, it's, we just lost a lawmaker of the day, Gerald McCormick, out of Chattanooga. He passed with that ALS. He suffered with it for probably 5 years.
That's a horrible death too, man. Yeah, that's a horrible death too.
You know, it's just really sad. Well, now we're going to be doing Men of Hope at Sam Davis Home January 3rd. Is that right?
January the 3rd. That's correct.
Yes,
sir.
yes.
At 8 o'clock?
No, 7:30 9.
7:30.
Mikey, you only been going 20 years now, man.
Well, I was thinking we adjusted it.
Same thing again, you know. 7:30.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's early for a lot of people. I hate those stragglers that come in late. Don't you hate people like that?
Mike, it's probably 8 o'clock for you, but it's 7:30 for everybody else.
Well, I am trying to get ready and run out the door, put my coat on, grab my coffee.
You're on fire, huh?
Well, I was telling Norris, you know, he said, "Hey man, I seen you put me on Facebook," and this guy's what, how big a fella is he? About 280, 6'2". He's like.
He's probably an inch too tall. He's probably 6'4".
He called Mike out on that one.
He goes, "Hey man," he said, "I heard you was talking about me on Facebook," and I said, "I just said Norris. I said thank you for cooking food, and I didn't say your last name." He just gave me this look. He said, "Hey man, I appreciate it. It was really kind."
I don't want to make you mad, but I think you had to work real hard to make him mad, but I wouldn't want to see him mad. If you
exactly. No, but that's what I like about it. We just got such diversity. I mean, I think do we have any Church of Christ people in there? Or is it, well, Roger's in there.
Well, no, I was.
We got one
I
Catholic.
was raised in a Church of Christ, but when I married the second time, you know, I went, you know, got a Baptist, you know, so
Yeah.
people can change.
right. Well,
I do,
you know,
bro.
I mean,
I think a majority of the folks
I
in
grew
that
up
group.
around the Holiness Church and the Pentecostals and the Nazarenes and
Yeah.
the Baptists, and I've got friends that are Catholic, and I've got some just heathen friends too that don't go to church nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, and we probably
Well, every now and then they show up. Yeah.
That's right. You know, well, we got all kinds there that come to Men of Hope, and it's you know, we're there talking about Jesus, you know, and
Amen.
Jesus should go past any kind of doctrine you got, because if you don't believe in the blood of what Jesus did on the cross for us and what His blood atoned for our sins, then you're not a Christian, and you don't waste your time coming to see us, because and it doesn't matter what, if you're a Christ follower, that's what you got to hang your hat on, is what Christ did on the cross
Amen.
for us, you know, and that's what you got to hang your hat on.
Well, Mark, thanks for calling in, and we've got Representative Robert Stevens is going to say a few words too. He's on hold. Well, tell your family so sorry for y'all's loss, okay?
Yeah, Mark. Take care, buddy.
God bless
Tell
y'all.
Robert, I said, help.
See you, Mark.
You guys have a blessed
All right.
evening.
We'll see you, man. We got a caller. Yeah, I think we've got Representative Robert Stevens on hold. But, you just never know when it's your time, man. You know what I mean? As you get a little older, you start seeing your friends, your relatives pass away, acquaintances, people you serve with pass away, and it's unfortunate, yeah, Robert, just call back in. But it's just sad. I lost my mom, lost my sister, lost my dad, lost my brother last year or 3 years ago, and just never ending. You know what I mean? Hey, Representative, you there? Robert, you there? Oh, I guess we got him. Is he on there? Robert, you there?
Mike, I'm here on the phone.
Hey,
Are
I'm
you?
sorry. All right, we got you now. We hit the wrong button. Robert, I know you and Rhonda are real close, and wanted you to say a few words as we kind of give a tribute to her memory.
Well, I loved Rhonda Allen as a friend. She was a wonderful person, and it was really a pleasure to serve for 12 years together with her on the county commission. We actually sat by each other at the same desk for 12 years, and I really got to know her very well and her family. They're all just really good folks. But
Yeah.
Rhonda was always the most prepared person there. She studied every issue, and she always had really good questions about all the topics. And what I really admired about her is that she would always want to do what's best for everybody.
Yes, and she
She
served
would
on the
always try
planning.
to find
How many years she served on the planning committee?
I think it was about 20 years because she was on there before we got elected.
Oh, she was over in the county. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. I know y'all served for many years on the county commission, and I don't know if you got to hear Mark Lewis, her brother-in-law, just now, and we've been praying for her for a few years because Mark is slowly kind of giving us updates with our men's group, but. Yeah, you never know when it's your last day. As you know, we lost a lawmaker last month and lost another one last week, and like I said on the House floor 2 years ago, because I see so much bickering and division, I said just look around, folks. One or two people aren't going to be here in a year or two, and you see folks just move on, and it's all about trying to leave a legacy and lift up our community and I think she did that. I think she did leave this world a better place than she found it.
Oh, she absolutely did, and I was fortunate to keep in touch with her, and we would do lunch and breakfast occasionally, and the last time I saw her about 6-7 weeks ago, she was still in good spirits and wanted to know what was going on, and she was very alert, and I was impressed with what all she had kept up with, actually. But she did leave the county a better place. I know the thing that she's most proud of is all of the school projects that she was supportive of, and she served as the chair of the Health and Education Committee for several years, and she was very passionate about our schools. I think the one that she really was the most excited about was the addition there at Smyrna Middle School.
Yes,
which
yes.
is by their home.
Yes.
She was very excited about that, and the John Coleman Elementary rebuild as well.
Yes, Roger, I forgot Roger, serves on the historic board, and he served with Carolyn Peebles. You were close with Carolyn. Carolyn passed away last year, and then Rhonda served on there, and then she's passed. But I appreciate you've been passionate about that Rotary Lee Victory Park over there. You were instrumental in getting that done. Why did that mean so much to you as a Rotary president?
Well, that's the Freedom Playground, the all-inclusive playground over there at Lee Victory Park, and that idea actually came from one of our former members, Bill Hayes. He said that other places had these all-inclusive parks where all the kids could play together, and he said that our Rotary Club should take that on as a project, and then I started looking into it and decided that it was something that we should certainly pursue. And
yes,
after a few years of hard work by many people in our club, we were able to make that thing a reality, and I know Carolyn Peebles was really excited about that. But
yes. Well, if folks aren't aware of it, it's over at Lee Victory Park, and folks that have special needs children like Commissioner Brad Turner and his wife, it's really an awesome opportunity to folks with children with special needs. But Representative, I appreciate you calling in and appreciate what you do, and thank you. Also, I think you wrote you just put a letter together to what Governor Bill Lee on the potential new Rocky Fork Road interchange. I mean, are you okay with talking about that, or you want to keep that on the down low?
Well, we can talk about it. It's something that Smyrna has pursued for many years, and I've been pushing for it every time that I can because our traffic's out of control and
Yes.
More growth is coming to the area. We've got to have another interchange there at I-24, but there's lots of issues with it being close to other exits and connections to other places. And, you know, it seems like every time we turn around, there's a different obstacle we have to overcome. But
Yes.
The governor's office is going to be made aware again that we would like to see this interchange happen when these choice lanes come through, because if we don't get it done then, it's going to probably be 10 or 20 years before we can even
Exactly.
look at it again.
Yeah, it's really really challenging. Well, thank you, Representative Stevens, for calling in, and thoughts and prayers and for the Allen family with the loss of late Commissioner Rhonda Allen. Thank you so much, Robert.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, take care. Let's go to commercial. Be right back.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Want a flawless look without the wait? Step into the Vanity Zone in Smyrna, where upscale style meets everyday convenience. Specializing in precision cuts, color services, waxing, and more for men, women, and kids. All delivered by highly trained stylists with an eye for detail. And don't miss the signature hot towel refresher, the perfect finishing touch that leaves you feeling clean, relaxed, and ready for anything. Walk in or book now the Vanity Zone in Smyrna. Looking your best is always in style.
Is your car running like a dream, or does it need a little TLC? At Dr. Automotive in Smyrna, we treat your vehicle like it's one of our own. Let's hear what some customers have to say about Dr. Automotive.
Been coming to them ever since he opened up. Good family. I recommend other people to get them repaired here because I knew they would do it and do it right. Been happy to send people to him because I trust what he does so much.
We're crazy about him. It's all about the doctor.
For quality care you can trust, visit Dr. Automotive in Smyrna. We've got the cure for your car.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to celebraterecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
All right, folks, we're back. I'm going to get in a little faith before we get into that. I want to welcome Rusty Big Dog. Rust, how you doing?
Good, buddy.
And my friend Douglas Berger. Douglas, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks again for inviting me.
Yeah, I wanted you to meet Rusty. Maybe y'all can put some deals together.
Seems like a pretty cool dude.
Oh, he really is. I don't care what people say about him. He's all right. And we've got Troy Williams on, because I was calling him Troy Miller the other day. And I know, Rusty, you've been wanting to have him up on air for about a month or two, and you've wrote a book called I Am Not Enough. Tell us about this book and why you wrote this.
Well, the reason I wrote it is the title of the book is a little bit confusing, Am I Not Enough? Because that's actually God asking the question.
Yeah.
And what I went through when been serving in the ministry, serving the Lord in the country of Turkey for over 20 years. It's the most Islamic country in the world. Went through a lot of rough things and went there with the idea. I've heard this phrase a lot, that people would say, where God guides, he provides.
Yes.
And so, you know, we go to Turkey, and the culture, of course, everything, they don't think the way we think at all, of course. And we tried to have a Christian camp there in Ephesus for the children. We tried to raise money for Bibles. Yeah. We went through a lot of things with our kids, and we were writing letters back to churches that support us and different things, asking for some help.
Yeah.
And just to give you an example here, back when we moved years ago, moved to Turkey, like with 7 children, we could go get a hotel room here and put all 9 of us in the hotel room for $125 back then. We show up in Turkey the first night, and it's $100 a night per room too, per person that stays in the room.
Oh, wow.
So there was 9 of us in my family, and then a nanny that went with us. So you could figure there's $1,000 a night for a hotel room, because anyway, so it's very different. Financial burden was overwhelming for us. And after a time, I finally got very bitter and angry at God. You know, where God guides, he provides. Well, Lord, obviously you called us here. You don't take a wife and 7 blonde-haired kids, the most Islamic country in the world, just because you love the Lord.
Yes.
You better know that you're called. And then when the provisions were not coming in, I slowly began to get very angry at God.
Yes.
And wound up having a nervous breakdown. Wound up in the hospital room in Monroe, Louisiana. They were going to put me in a mental institute.
Really? Wow.
And until a man came and stood at the end of my bed with a message from God.
Yeah.
And so that's what the book is about. The book is about this, and people sometimes shy away from this. But how we think about God, where we place him in our priorities, and how much we choose to love him, most definitely affects the chemical makeup of our brain.
Yes.
The Apostle Paul wrote to the church in Colossae, which is there in Turkey. He was before all things, and in him all things hold together. All things doesn't just include the universe. It doesn't just include the stars and the planets and everything out there. All things includes our mind.
Yeah.
And if the right thinking about him, he holds that together. And he also wrote to Timothy that, God's not given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and of a sound mind. Do we have that sound mind?
Yeah.
So I had gotten away from God, and what I did is I started thinking God plus things made the complete package. Or we call it, with our religious lingo, we call those things blessings.
Yeah.
God plus blessings. But what do you do when all the blessings are gone?
Yeah. Like Job.
He's exactly like Job.
Yep.
So that's what happened to me. All the blessings, all the money. At 23 years old, I got married. I was making $10,000 a week. I owned my own home. Car, boat. I mean, I had a great life. At 44, I came back from Turkey. I didn't own a car. I didn't own a home. I didn't have any money in the bank. I had a wife and 7 kids to feed, all because of God had called me in the ministry. And so, that turned me very bitter and angry at God.
Yeah.
But, I was flat on my back, and at rock bottom, but that's where God met me.
Well, you grew up, you said, in Las Casas?
Grew up in Las Casas, yeah.
So you went to school in
Oakland High School.
What year did you graduate there?
I graduated in 85.
85,
yeah. Went in the Navy 3 days out of high school.
Really?
Yes, sir. And I actually became a Christian in Morocco, Africa, while I was serving in the Navy. Didn't know what a Muslim was back then.
Yeah.
You know, from Las Casas.
Who's the first one to kind of talk to you about faith? Was it a fellow?
Well, because of being raised up here in, Las Casas, Murfreesboro area, I was raised up in church.
Oh, okay.
So on aboard the ship, there was some guys getting together, have a little Bible study on the ship, and they asked me if I wanted to come.
Yeah.
Well, the way I was raised, obviously I would say yes. I didn't want my mom to be angry at me, right?
Yep.
So anyway, I went to the Bible study, and I thank God this guy, we called him YN2 Paul Farrell. He followed me back to the machine one night after about a month of going to this Bible study, and he said, Troy, he said, I believe you love the Lord, you read the Bible, and you sing these songs, but he said, something in my spirits is telling me that you've never really made it real with God.
Yeah.
And I started getting nervous. I started getting scared. That's how you know you're lost.
Yeah.
Right? When somebody's starting to corner you on your salvation and you get nervous.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, he led me in a prayer that night that absolutely changed my life forever.
Yes.
And so that's one thing led to another. And then
we studied Paul today, and I always upload our Sunday school lessons to Facebook. But man, you look at those guys' challenge. We talked about the thorn in his side. Have you ever theorized what the thorn was?
Well, yeah, but good luck. Nobody knows, and it's there on purpose.
You think, and that's what Jim Winchester. Jim kind of puts it where I guess it's, what do you call it, like a metaphor for maybe past sins or past problems. And he theorized, which he said it could be anything, but he theorized, that he was responsible for killing Christians. So you think about how that must have played on his spirit and his mind the rest of his life. But man, you look at a guy that was devoted.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me I have to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where the Apostle Paul was from? Before he was Paul, he was called Saul of
Tarsus.
Oh, okay. Tarsus, Turkey.
Oh, okay. Well, how'd you wind up in Turkey?
Brother, you have to know that God's called you there. And I was sitting in a church history class, and I've got to preface it by saying this. I thought, I'm an evangelist.
Yeah.
My job is to lead you to the Lord. I'm not a pastor. Okay. I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I want to tell you how to go to heaven.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a big difference in that. And when I went to Bible college, people would ask me, "Are you going to be a missionary?" And I always said no. And I used a story that happened to me in the Navy one night. Well, like I said, we was pulled into a country. We'd been out on the ocean for a long time. We'd pulled in for a little R&R. And then some of us young sailors were headed, down to leave the ship. And I looked up, and there was this old chief that had been in the Navy a long time. He was headed to the back of a boat, and he had a bucket in one hand and a fishing pole in the other. And I yelled out, I said, "Chief, you're not going into town tonight?" And he just yelled back, "Been here before, didn't lose a thing."
Yeah.
Okay, there was nothing that he had left in that town that he needed to go looking for.
Oh, okay.
So when people ask me, was I going to be a missionary? I said, no, I've been in 20 countries. I hadn't lost a thing in any of them.
Yeah.
And every time I said that, Mike, it was like something, it's like God's put his hand right in my chest and said, missions is not about what you've lost.
Yeah.
It's about what I've lost.
Yeah.
So after a period of having to deal with that, I finally opened up to the fact, well, an evangelist, a missionary is basically an evangelist, but in another country.
Yeah.
And so it was a process. And when Dr. Sherman started talking about a trip that he took to a city, and there were just tens of thousands of children everywhere, and dancing and music and flags being flown, and he said, looked out over that city, and he said, I didn't see a single church anywhere. And he said, I was in Istanbul, Turkey.
Oh.
Okay, so in Turkey, when he said that, Mike, it hit me hard. Yeah. That was the first initial thought process in me that I was here. If you'd have said Germany, or if you'd said Russia, I mean, I've been to Russia, Finland, Sweden, lifting weights, and I've traveled a lot in the Navy, and nothing moved me. But when he started speaking about Turkey, I knew I was hearing it in a way that I didn't hear things before. And so that started the process.
We had a guy I'll say this. I was at a Korean event last night. A Korean event. I've never been to a Korean event, and it was didn't really know what I was going into, and really didn't have anything prepared. And Metro Nashville, John Drake, police chief, was there and sat at the same table with me. And then a girl named Lee Weaver, she's from China, and it was a good crowd, about 200 people, and got talking to Lee, and I said, "How did you?" I said, "No." She just brought up. She said, "You know, I became a Christian 30 years ago," and I was like, "Really?" I said, "Well, how?" Because she was in China. She said some tourists gave her a little Bible, like a Gideon Bible. Then she, the way I understand it, she had some other tourists, I guess, got to know her and invited her to Mississippi State University with a scholarship, and she met her husband, and she said, "I never went back." And you know, and that she was telling me how many Koreans like are evangelists and missionaries to China.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, like South Korea's like 90% Christian.
Christian, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, I spoke at 7 Hindu events just since the summer, and my wife said, "Would you share Jesus with them?" And I really know, I did pray with one of my Hindu buddies, and he lost his wife about 3 years ago, and been to the Buddhist temple over here on Old Nashville Highway, and they've asked me to pray. And so, you know, I've never been to, you know, Istanbul, but I guess what I admire about you is that folks who are here are afraid to share Christ, and you're over there in an area, or you take someone going to China that could probably lose her life.
Right.
You know, and then we over here, it seems like we take our freedoms for granted. There was a guy at church this morning, got up and did the, like read off the bulletin, read a scripture, and it was Psalm 88, and he had his family. He was from Pakistan, and he said, you know, I was Muslim, and he met his wife and became a Christian and out of Pakistan. And I've got a guy that helps me with my newspaper from Pakistan. So he texted the guy, took a picture of him, and I've kind of talked to him about faith, because he doesn't know, like in a conversation, if you gave an analogy that's biblical, he wouldn't understand. Like he knows English,
right,
but he doesn't understand.
Right.
That you can probably relate to that. And I was telling him, hey man, you ought to study your Bible. He said, well, we're not allowed to have Bibles here and this and that. But were the people very welcoming?
Well, they are very welcoming. I mean, you got to understand, tourism is a huge industry in the country of Turkey.
Yeah.
The 7 churches mentioned in the book of the Revelation are all there. Actually, 17 of the 27 books in the New Testament, you think about this, the Apostle Paul wrote 12 of them. John the Beloved wrote 5. So 17 of the 27 books in the New Testament came from the country of Turkey, or the Apostle Paul, who was from Turkey.
Wow.
So tourism is huge. So it's part of their nature, part of their culture and personality to be very, very helpful and kind to you.
Yeah.
Now, again, when it comes to talking about your faith or Christianity, I mean, they're nice people, but still, and I always ask people in churches to please pray, not for me so much, but pray for the Turkish people. They're the ones that need the prayers, because when you're talking to them about the Lord, what they have to give up or the things that they would go through,
yeah,
you know, many of us wouldn't be willing to do it either.
Exactly. I
so
bet.
It's, yeah, they need a lot of prayers. And another thing that I tell the churches is a lot of times, because we've had access to the Bible and we've had access to Christian radio and materials and friends or whatever, we think those people over there have had access to it too. And I tell them that you got to remember, they're not rejecting Jesus. They've never been offered him.
Yeah.
If I hand you a $20 bill and you say no thanks, that's rejection. If I don't hand you a $20 bill, you're not rejecting anything.
Yeah.
These people, I'm the only Christian these people know.
Yeah.
And our family, right? We're the only Christians they'd ever met. So they don't have the people there to talk to them about the Lord. They don't have people to give them the Bibles. They don't know anything about these stories that we talk about. So what have they rejected? So they just need more prayer. They need more people over there that are willing to, to share with them.
This guy today at church was mentioning how, I mean, his family, like I don't use the word, I guess, disowned him, just don't even stay in touch with him.
Right.
Is that pretty common when folks come to Christ in a Muslim country like that?
It is common, but the thing about it is we have to teach perseverance, because those families will come back around. They're trying to break you. That's part of what Satan does, right?
Yeah.
So if the person will persevere and they will hang on, but yes, it may be a few years.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. The family will slowly start welcoming them back.
Well,
into
what's
their
the
family.
scripture? Is it Romans where Paul talked about persecution builds character and the trials and tribulations?
Yeah. So okay, the thing about it is, and this is one of the reasons too, again, going back to the book a little bit, I was struggling greatly with the gospel in this sense. And don't get me wrong in this. You got to understand, I'm not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
But it's like I had to preach one gospel when I'm here in America, and I had to preach another gospel when I'm over there. And what I mean by that is exactly what is the gospel, because here, you can hear, and I'm not running anybody down. Please don't misunderstand me. You can tell people here, give your life to the Lord, and the Lord will bless you. Yeah. And that's all you hear here in America: blessings, blessings, blessings. And then I'd get on a plane and fly back to Turkey and say, "Well, give your life to the Lord." There's no blessings. You have to have an eternal perspective. Yeah. That's what the book is. Am I not enough? And that's a message that can be preached for here in America too. The gospel is about Jesus Christ. The gospel is about God Almighty. It's just about Him. Is He not enough for you?
Yes.
So here it's blessings, and I fell right into that, Mike. That's why I got so bitter and angry. I remember standing on my balcony one time, because we went for years without having a vehicle. And I have a wife and 7 kids. I've said that several times, right? And you go to the grocery store, if you're buying bread and chips, that's no big deal. But we're having to ride a bus that's made for 80 people, and they'll put 200 on it. And you have to go into the grocery store, and you're buying flour and sugar and laundry detergent and things that are heavy, and you're trying to fill, the whole family has to go, and then you try to get off the bus, and then not all of us get off. They shut the door. Well, we still got kids on that bus, so then you're having to run and scream at the bus driver, stop, let the rest of the kids off, right? Wow. So after a couple of years of that and getting very angry, I said this to God one time. I said, God, if you'd not called me in the ministry, I could have afforded my own vehicle.
Yeah.
Now, what I did right then, I took God off of the throne, and I put myself up there. Yeah. Like I have more power, more money, more ability than you do, God. You understand? When you challenge God, you get angry and upset, you're taking Him off of His throne, putting yourself up there, saying, I could have worked this out better than you, God. Yeah. Well, just stand back and wait and see. No, you can't. And so anyway, that was the problem, is we have to teach the Turkish people to have an eternal perspective, not a here and now perspective.
Yeah.
Because our friends, and what happens is their wealth is all family wealth. Here it's individual wealth. You go 18, you leave home, you go get a job, you go to school, whatever, and you start working your rear off to try to build something for yourself. Not over there. Yeah. When they get married, a husband and wife gets married, the groom's mom and dad will give them a home. The bride's mom and dad will give them a home. They move into one, rent the other out. Their cars, their appliances, everything is provided for them day one.
Yeah.
And then you start working for your kid.
Yeah.
Now, Dad, you have a family get-together, right, a barbecue or whatever. They barbecue over there, amen? Yeah. That's a blessing right there.
Yeah.
No pork, though.
Yeah, exactly, no pork. I know that much.
So you go over there and you have a get-together, and one of the uncles or the dad or somebody brings up the fact, Mike, you've been hanging out with that boy from America over. Are you thinking about becoming a Christian?
Wow.
Who bought you that BMW you're driving?
Yeah.
Give me the keys right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dad said, boy, I want you out of that house. Because you're putting a black mark on the family name, family business names, and these people are wealthy. Don't think for a minute they're not.
Wow.
You're talking big money over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We pay $11 for a gallon of gas. All right, so don't be complaining over here.
$11.
So
wow.
they all drive BMWs, Audis, and Mercedes, and whatever. So, when and then my daughter was babysitting for a girl. She was really ready. She wanted to become a believer so bad. And the mom and dad told her and said, when you do, we're taking your son.
Really?
So how many of us over here would become believers if we were dealing with that kind of pressure?
I feel like I've had a little persecution, my faith, but not nothing like,
right.
At Sunday school, Jim looked at me, we were talking about persecution. He said, Mike, what do you think? He knows I've had some. He knew Antifa came to my house
Right.
at 3 in the morning, and I'd already been warned. And one of the Sunday school people didn't believe they exist. I said, well, just go tell that to my wife. Tell that to the 7 cops that showed up at my house. But I don't think it was really over faith. You know, I happen to be with General Haston in California, of all places. But, you know, one thing I've seen in my own life, how the Lord has provided. And I wanted to share a story. Rusty, I was telling Rusty the other day, I don't even know, I think you may know this. A friend of mine years ago, going through a tough time, and I had sold my car business to Mike Hollingshead, and I just got elected, and my friend would need a truck, and he said, hey, you got that white Ford over there? I said, look, that's not my truck. That's Rusty's truck. And my friend said, well, hey, you think you could ask Rusty about the truck? You know, I was like, hey, I'll ask him. And guess who calls me? Okay. Rusty Russ called. You remember that? I remember where I was standing, you know, and I said, Rusty, a friend of mine's kind of hit a low spot in his life, needs a truck. I mean, he does construction, and Rusty didn't want a down payment. He just said, yeah, just tell him to go over and get it. You remember that? Why would you do such a thing?
That's
because it was the right thing to do at the time.
I mean, my friend was struggling, you know, and it but I call those guy wink moments synchronicities. Yeah. Now, did you see a lot of those connections like that where something would just happen that was just so, it was like an extreme coincidence?
For over there in Turkey, I saw a few of those in saving my life.
Yeah.
You know, at that time, I saw God close the doors and stop people from doing things like that. And I've also had people just walk up to my door that I never met them before and say, we've decided to become Christian. Can you help us?
Really? Wow.
So I give them a Bible. I tell them to turn to John, read John.
Yeah, my stepfather used to say that.
Yeah, and then, you know, follow them for a year or two and then make sure they're really believers.
If folks are listening that are skeptical or just maybe they've fallen away, what 3 books of the Bible would you tell them to read?
Okay, well, obviously, I want to say this in Psalms, and the Psalms in particularly that David wrote.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of writers in there, but specifically the ones that David wrote.
Yep.
That helps you with your relationship with the Lord, obviously, your vertical relationship. The Proverbs, wisdom, you know, how to deal with people, among people like that. And then, the book of John is a beautiful, beautiful book.
And my late stepfather was a strong believer, and you're pretty much echoing what he used to tell me. He's been gone about 10 years. But, you know, my real father wasn't, he was World War II, wasn't a Christian, and just bitter, married 5 times, just a real bitter guy. But do you see a lot of lack of forgiveness and that? Did you, when you dealt with people, because I see that over here, I see a lot of brokenness. I see it locally. I see it in politics. I see it, you know, I see it real bad in state capital. See it, like I say, in local government. And it's like, man, people fight over the pettiest little stuff. And it's like, man, the country's going to Hades. I mean, the problems that we have are so severe. I mean, our jails are full. We have the highest fatherless rate in the world. A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
And there's nobody lobbying for these things. And what frustrates me, I'm not saying I get frustrated with the church, but it's like there's a book of lobbyists. People don't know this. It's like 58 pages, 5 people per page. Nobody's lobbying for these things. And I doubt, I mean, it's like this title pawn, payday loan, check into bankruptcy, advanced finance, all that kind of BS. You know, it's government that's allowed that to happen, and your ministers are silent.
Right.
I mean, I doubt if any preacher in Tennessee even talked about that today.
Right.
You know, I went to the governor, asked him to veto it. He looked at me like, huh? He's like, Mike, why does this matter? I said, because the next generation going to be strapped with this debt. My father, he didn't speak to me because I bought a house with no money out of pocket years ago. Thought I was trying to keep up with the Russ people and the Burgers of the world, the Joneses,
the Hollingsheads,
and the Hollingsheads, you know. But he didn't believe in debt. You know, grew up during the Great Depression. But you know, I was telling the governor, I was telling him how serious this is. He's not seeing it. I see it. I see what's going on in 5 and 10 years and 20 years. I said, Governor, you wouldn't be the governor if it wasn't for your father, would you? He looked at me like, huh?
Yeah.
I said, this is so important. You wouldn't be governor if it wasn't for your dad. I wouldn't have bought my first house at 22 if it wasn't for my dad putting up the money for my first my 68 Camaro, and I paid them off.
Right.
And then I had a forced savings account.
Right.
But you think, but no one's talking about these things, man.
And it's so easy for them to end up losing a vehicle, or do a second on their house and end up even losing their home. And they don't, they're in a pinch, and they're not looking at what it's going to cost them just to get back out of it.
Yeah, it's sad. I don't think our forefathers would have put up with that kind of stuff.
Right.
And do you think that we become real complacent? The people, leaders, Christians, pastors.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I don't know. Get into the politics side of it, but I think, yeah. Okay, when I came back from being gone for so many years, I would tell my younger kids, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
There's laws for this and laws for that or whatever. But it seemed like no matter what I told them, like if my dad told me something a generation before and I did that happened. What he said would happen.
Yeah.
But now there's a way of getting out of it. There's not a lot of consequences as hard as it used to be.
Yeah.
For certain situations. So it's like you just almost stop trying to give advice or whatever, because I don't know, it's just difficult.
One thing I've learned is it seems like young men or women will listen to another person before they with their own dad.
Yeah,
I don't know
sure.
why that. I've never studied that kind of depth of psychology where you'll take advice from somebody else, and sometimes. But now look back, my mom was a lot smarter than I thought she was, and my dad too.
Mm-hmm.
But Rusty, how did y'all cross paths?
Well, I worked for Bridgestone when I was younger, and Troy worked there, and then he had a machine shop on the side, and once we started needing work on some of we had come up with some little inventions on some of the machines, and Troy was helping manufacture some of them, and that's how we first met. One thing Troy hadn't talked about though, Troy actually represented the U.S. lifting against the Russians. He used to be a power lifter too.
Russia? Yeah, years.
Russia.
When they were still a communist country. Yeah.
Wow.
We were actually the last team to give to lift against them as a communist country.
Really?
In November of '91.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
What type? Well, Douglas just got hurt the other day.
Yeah.
He pulled his chest muscle.
Tore the old pec off.
What
the
were you
bone.
doing? Smith machine decline.
Decline.
With your buddy James Yates.
I mean, good thing he was there. Another workout partner.
I just left Crunch Fitness, and I seen a young guy, and he had about 225, and I seen him just struggling, and I was kind of watching just to see, and he was stopping, and then he was starting to let it go, and back in my day they didn't have the little safety thing right here, and
right.
And man, I went to grab it real quick, and he luckily it went on that little safety thing, because if it had been back with the old benches, it'd have killed him, because I couldn't have picked it up.
Yeah, and decline's even riskier.
I told that dude.
Right for your throat.
Did you see that guy in Brazil got killed?
No.
He was bench pressing, I think 300 pounds, and he was holding the bar like that. Didn't have and it
slid off
and killed him.
I've seen some nasty videos on social media.
Yeah.
That's scary. I mean, that's a bad way to go.
Yeah. Couldn't imagine. What kind of would you compete? Deadlift?
Squat, bench, and deadlift.
Really?
The three lifts.
How much?
Oh,
what you doing?
I bet it was a
well,
bunch.
you got to understand, this is part of my testimony too. I was on steroids and drugs when I was in the Navy, and then when I got saved, God said, "Keep doing what you're doing, but do it for me." Right?
Yeah.
So I got clean. I got off all the drugs, and as part of my testimony, I made the team because of a shirt that I designed years ago. On the front it said "Ban steroids," on the back it said "Give God the glory," and so people saw that at a competition and asked me to be a part of the team to promote drug-free weightlifting. So my bench was 400, and my squats and deadlifts were in the 600, 625 or something. But then again, I had a friend, Bruce Boudelier, that was benching in the 600s and squatting and deadlifting in the 800s, but he couldn't pass the PIS test.
Oh,
there you go.
So that was part of my testimony, is I was not near as big and bad as Bruce was, but doing it God's way, I got to make the team, and he didn't make the team.
That's still a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight.
Lord will give you strength.
A long time ago.
Lord will give you strength.
Yeah.
Well, what can we do here? Because I think this country needs a revival. I mean, I was on with Dr. Krause the other day. He does a show on Thursdays. Great guy, and got a great life experience. But he was like, "Mike, what about the General Assembly next year, bills and this and that?" I said, "Man, don't look to government.
Right.
Government's broke. All you got to do is look. There's broken people running. I mean, Trump's had to pardon, 3 people that got in trouble. And, they were probably guilty. I mean, it looked like they were guilty. Trump pardoned them. And but people keep looking to government to solve their problems. And I'm reminded of this quote. In fact, I shared this quote on Facebook. Ben Franklin once said, when the citizenry realize they can vote themselves money from the Treasury, that'll herald in the end of the Republic. And when you see Congress and you see we can't afford to pay our military and you seeing $38 trillion in debt, man, that the hairs on my arm starts to go off. 'Cause I got grandbabies. You got grandbabies?
No, not yet.
You got grandbabies? See, how many you got?
One.
How old?
Month.
A month.
All right.
Really?
Yeah.
Little girl?
Boy.
What's his name?
Archer.
Really?
Cool.
But I think grandbabies make you look at life differently.
We're starting to embrace the fact that we're going to be grandparents here probably within the next couple of years.
Yeah, it makes you look at life different.
Yeah, my son got married a few years ago. They just closed on their first house. I think that's the next step.
Yes. Well, my little grandbaby Grace just turned 3 the other day, and I passed a bill making Amazing Grace official state hymn, and I played it while my mom was dying, and they've heard me share this story. My mom was in hospice. Well, she was at home dying, but hospice care. She had heavy breathings, heavy moans, and I thought, well, I'm going to play Amazing Grace. She was from Scotland with the bagpipes.
Right.
And I sat back and watched it like a case study. And, man, it calmed my mom down, calmed her breathing down, calmed her moans down, and she died next morning. I never shed a tear because my mother was 91. My mother was like a Pentecostal in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
The only one raising hands. I was so embarrassed as a kid. And she'd always tithe, because we didn't have no money. I'm like, Mom, you can't write a check that much. And she's like, no. And Lord always provided.
Yeah.
I remember her Ford Pinto. You remember the Pintos?
Oh, yeah, we had one.
They'd blow up if you hit them in the back,
Yeah.
And it was the junkiest car. Windshield wipers wouldn't work. My mom started pleading the blood of Jesus over the windshield wipers, and all of a sudden, they're like, I mean, it was, even my cousin who come to her funeral, I said, you a believer? And he goes, he's out of Denver. In other words, he wasn't a believer. I said, you ever seen the miracles? Yeah, man, I've seen your mom. He said, this car, we were in Scotland, wouldn't start, and your mom just started praying. When she touched that car, it said, boom, it fired up. My sister started praying,
Wow.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Got to meet Priscilla Presley last year.
Wow. There you go.
About music therapy
Yeah.
and stuff, but it's a powerful tool,
Yeah.
Well, Rusty, speaking of faith, what were you in church? What church you go to? You go to Mike's church? Jeff's church?
Joy Church out in Mount Juliet.
You ever go to
Pastor Jim
Jeff
out
Hollingshead's church?
I hadn't been to since Jeff started.
I've been out there. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
We watch them on TV because
Okay.
both Jeff's kids sing, don't they?
Probably.
I think they do. Felicia, if we're out at our church, we'll usually tune it in. How many? We got a few more minutes. Well, whereabouts can folks catch your book?
You can get it on Amazon, of course, and in April it'll come out as an audio book. You can get it at Kindle, Amazon there too. So.
Well, I wrote an article about it. If you go to TennesseeLedger.com, it's my lead story. And you got a video or anything I can add to it?
No, not yet.
If you come up with something,
Yeah, this just came out, so. It's,
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's been out about 3 months.
Congratulations.
And Mike, he's talking like this all happened in a kind of relatively short period of time, but he's been doing this a long time and getting ready to head back to Turkey again.
Are you really?
Yeah, in March. Yeah.
Wow.
They're wonderful people.
Are they
They're
really?
wonderful people. I'm telling you, you'd love them. You'd love them to death. They're some of the best people in the world. But like I said, they need people to pray for them.
Yeah. When my mother passed, my Kurdish buddies, Z, he came to the funeral.
Yeah.
And he was
Z's a great guy.
Oh, man, Z, they're just Baywar, Dilshad, Ray, all of them. And I've been over. I've shared Christ with them. I had this one guy did a resolution honoring the Kurdish people. They've been great allies for us, and we've got the largest Kurdish population. And this other lawmaker, and he was a pretty bold guy. He goes, man, aren't you scared? I was like, scared? I said, dude, I trust them Kurdish people before I trust these lawmakers up here, man. They're sweet folks, man. I bought 30 cars from guys.
Yeah.
30 cars. They said it never made a nickel off of me. Well, Douglas Berger, appreciate you. Trans World Business Advisors, Rusty Rust, and Stevens Group Realty, right? And Troy Williams, the book, I'm Am I Not Enough? It can be on Amazon, right?
Right. Yeah.
Check out Tennessee Legends. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Jeremy. We'll see y'all next week.